Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be doing a guide for Aragon for EU4 1.33 France. So Aragon is a nation located in the western portion of the Mediterranean. We control the eastern portion of Iberia, some islands right here, Sardinia and Sicily as well, and we also start off with Naples as our junior partner. Aragon is one of the strongest nations in EU4 at the start of the game. We have great national ideas, we can form Spain later, we get Naples and Castile for free as junior partners, and maybe you'll even get some other ones if you're lucky, and our position in sort of the center of the Mediterranean enables us to expand in every direction, and by playing as Aragon, you'll form the Roman Empire in one of the easiest ways in the game. And before we begin, if you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like, it really helps out a lot, and if you want to see more guides or more EU4 videos in general, definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. Let's jump in as Aragon. Alright, so here we are as Aragon. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is go into your estates and summon the Diet. You can pick whichever agenda is best for you. Then we're going to give the clergy religious state and religious diplomats. We're not going to be giving the advisor privileges yet because we are going to be losing stability here right at the start. We're going to give the nobility primacy of the nobility and increased levies, and we're going to give the burghers land of commerce, patronage of the arts, and indebted to the burghers. Then we're going to seize land. Next, we're going to go into our subject screen and tell Naples to siege. And we're going to choose our naval doctrine, which is going to be free oarsmen for galley combat ability. Now it's time for some advisors. You need to hire this half-cost level 2 stab cost guy. He is always available, so get this guy. Get an improved relations or diplorep guy. I am going to get this level 2 guy, even though he's super expensive, but once I get my alliances in order, I will swap him out for a level 1 guy. And get a morale or a discipline level 1 mill advisor. I don't have one, so I'm just going to get this reinforced speed guy. Now we're going to take our ships, tell these 3 light ships to protect trade in Valencia and go home during war. We also start off with 8 galleys and 14 transports, and we're gonna start building some more galleys as well. So there we go, I just started building 8 more galleys. Don't worry that we're going over naval force limit. And we're also gonna take our bigger army here in Valencia and delete 1 cavalry regiment. And we do start off with 5 professionalism, so we are gonna slacken recruiting standards to get about 6,500 manpower, because we are gonna be hiring a mercenary company, which will bring our professionalism down. Next, we're gonna take this army over to Messina, and once that army is there, we're also going to take this army to Messina as well. At this point, you can lower army maintenance and turn off force, so we're not in the negative. Now, the strategy we're going to be going for here with Aragon is the same strategy we did as the Mamluks, and I mentioned that in my previous guide as well. Aragon and the Mamluks are the 2 nations that I think you have to do the no CB Byzantium start with. So that's going to be our first war. We're going to no CB Byzantium to establish a dominant position in the Balkans and Anatolia and cripple the Ottomans early. So now while our armies are transporting, it's time to get our alliances in order, and you will be able to ally a bunch of nations. If you can ally Castile right at the start, you should do it since they'll take up a slot later anyway, but if you can't ally Castile, don't worry, it's not necessary at all. The nations that you do want to ally are nations surrounding the Ottomans, like Austria, Hungary, Poland, and Lithuania. In my case, Hungary has rivaled me, which is unfortunate, but you should be able to get both Austria and Hungary in your situation. So there we go, I am going to send an alliance offer to Austria, and if you can ally both Austria and France, which does happen sometimes, you need to choose Austria. Forget about France. And I'm also going to Royal Marry Castile right here, and we also need to vassalize Navarra, because we might get them as a junior partner when this guy dies, and we don't want a 1 province minor taking up a relation slot for 50 years. So ally them, royal marry them, guarantee them, send them a gift, offer them military access, anything you can to get them to 190 as soon as possible. And I'm gonna start off by royal marrying them. We do also start off with an admiral, and we are gonna put him in charge of this fleet right here, and we're also gonna hire a general, not our ruler by the way, so hire a general. And finally, we can set our rivals, and we are going to rival the Ottomans, even though they don't rival me here in my case. Don't rival Hungary or any nation that Austria might like, so I'm also going to rival France here and England. So now it's time to wait for these guys to get to Messina and vassalize Navarra, and wait for the boats as well. Another nation that's pretty important to ally is also the Pope, because we are going to be staying Catholic and we do want to have good relations with him. Yes, we are going to be going over our relations limit here at the start of the game. And there we go, it's only been a few months and I can already vassalize Navarra, which is perfect. At this point, I'm also currying favors with Austria, the nation that's my ally that's closest to the Ottomans. Like I said earlier, you'll probably also have Hungary. In my case, I'm trying to get Lithuania here. But after you do vassalize Navarra, you will be able to take the mission Vassalize Navarra, which gives us permaclaims on Castile and Provence. Once this army is here, we're also going to be hiring the Free Company in Sicily. Once your boats have finished building, you are gonna merge them with your other fleet in the Straits of Messina. And once your alliances are in order, I am lacking a little. You will probably have one of these three guys, which I don't have, but it's totally fine. I've gotten Austria and Bohemia. It is time for our first war, which, like I said, is gonna be a no-CB war versus Byzantium. The nations they can ally, you already know: Serbia, Wallachia, Moldavia, Trebizond, Theodoro, and Albania, pretty much. In my case, pretty weird, they do have two allies. Usually they only have one, but it's no big deal. We're simply gonna no-CB them, and boom, there we go. With the help of the stab cost guy that we hired earlier, you will be stabbing up, boom, boom, there we go, and we're gonna take 10k over here with your general and send them to Constantinople. Once those guys are there, you're gonna send this 10k and 5k down to southern Greece. At this point, you should be currying favors with your allies in this region, so I'm gonna curry with Bohemia as well, and with this third diplomat over here, I'm gonna start building a spy network on the Ottomans. You can split your navy like this in order to blockade both Constantinople and Morea, and I am stacking here because if I split my armies, these guys would probably attack me. So now my ruler just died as well, and I actually didn't know that you still get this event even if you vassalize Navarra, and of course you will have to pick one option, pick this one right here. That does make Navarra a junior partner. We are gonna release them later, or we can keep them around, but I honestly didn't think they would become a junior partner again, even though we vassalized them. And when you also get the Neapolitan succession event, you are gonna choose this option. Naples will become slightly rebellious, but of course we're not gonna release them. And when you beat up Byzantium, of course you are gonna full annex them and release them, or just vassalize them. That is totally up to you. You could simply vassalize them to keep their navy around, or you could full annex them and release them in order to get Athens as well. Now, something else has happened during this war. The Ottomans have also declared on Byzantium, and they've also occupied some areas over here, which means I can't take everything for myself and then release them because I'm not gonna get everything. And normally in these strategies right here, what I like to do is vassalize Byzantium and then declare on the Ottomans when they're busy in other wars, but obviously that's not gonna be possible over here in my case. So if you also find yourself in a situation like this, you could do the old strategy, which is to vassalize them, and then you'll be dragged in as the war leader versus the Ottomans, which means you'll be able to call in all your allies to defend you. That's the old strategy. Like I said, the new one is piecing out and then waiting for the Ottomans to fight someone over here so we can declare on our own terms. That's why we've been currying favors, and that's probably what you're gonna do. You're probably gonna vassalize Byzantium, wait for the Ottomans to fight someone here, and then you're gonna declare on the Ottomans for a reconquest of Byzantium on your own terms. But if you're in a situation like this, and that has gone slightly wrong in my case, but it's not a big deal, the strategy is the same, you're just simply gonna vassalize Byzantium, boom, just like that, and now we're the war leader versus the Ottomans. Like I said, this is the old strategy here. But like this, you are able to call in your allies immediately. So there we go, I'll call in Bohemia and Castile and Austria and the Pope as well. Now, if I declared on the Ottomans on my own terms, I'd probably only have Austria and Bohemia in this war. So this is slightly more helpful maybe, but like I said, it's the old strategy and I much prefer the newer one. So now it's the same. You're just gonna fight the Ottomans just like you would if you declared on them yourself. Of course, make sure to put your boats in the Sea of Marmara. And another thing, of course, if you do this strategy, you won't have to fight the Ottomans' allies, which is, in my case, Akkuyunlu, but as you all know, they can be allied to someone like Tunis. So even though this strategy is slightly easier, I prefer declaring on the Ottomans on my own terms when they're fighting someone in Anatolia. And as you can see, this war is not difficult at all. We're literally swarming them, and it's gonna be the same even if you declare on them yourselves. If you want to check out how declaring on the Ottomans yourself actually goes, you can check out my previous Aragon guide. It may not be that relevant for 133, but the war is pretty much the same, and you'll see how I declare on them when they fight someone in Anatolia. And once you've beaten up the Ottomans sufficiently, here's what you're gonna take from them. It doesn't matter in which way you fought them, you're still gonna take the same things. So obviously, we're going to be giving Byzantium all their cores back. You'll probably already have Athens in your case, but I'm going to give it to them in my case. So all of these right here, except for their capital of Edirne, that's going to be easy war score for later, so I don't recommend taking this in the first war. Some people do, some people don't. I don't recommend it. We're also going to take these two provinces over here for ourselves, and then I also recommend taking war reps. So all of Byzantium scores except Edirne and these two provinces up here. And that's our first war with the Ottomans done. Like I said, no matter how you declare on them, this is what you're gonna look like. When the war ends, don't core these two provinces over here. First, we're gonna start building a spy network on Serbia. And then, once we have a claim on this province right here, we're gonna be releasing Bulgaria from these two provinces. At this point, this war may have exhausted your manpower or money, so it's time to chill a bit and improve with outraged countries, allies, or subjects. And there we go. Once you have a spy network built up on Serbia, you're simply gonna claim this province, and after that, we are gonna be releasing the nation of Bulgaria. They'll get these two provinces right here, and boom, there we go. We have some more cores to reconquer. Easy. At this point, you do have two vassals, so you should give the nobility strong duchies. And now we can also give them the advisor discount privileges, which are Clerical Advisory Council, Commercial Advisory Board, but don't give the nobles aristocratic counselors. We don't want to get locked in with 4 privileges. And once you've chilled a bit, about a year or two have passed, it is time for your second war, and it's once again gonna be in the Balkans versus the nation that we've been spying on, Serbia. So, no matter who they're allied to, no matter what their size is, they may have been beaten up already a little bit by Hungary or Venice, you are gonna declare on them and take whatever you can. So, I'm gonna be declaring on Serbia here for the conquest of Kosovo. Can I co-belligerent Bosnia? Yeah, I will. And I'll call on Austria to help out a little bit. Why not? And boom, there we go. Our primary focus is this province right here, which is a gold mine, and it will help fund our early conquests. If they're guaranteed by the Ottomans, which can happen sometimes, that's great. You're gonna fight the Ottomans again and just white piece them so you can lower your truce as much as possible. For our tier 2 government reform, we're of course gonna be taking strength and noble privileges. And in my case, Hungary just joined this war as well because Austria did get them as a junior partner. This doesn't really matter, even if you're allied to Hungary or not. And there we go. The war with Serbia is done. Super easy. You should white piece their allies so you can fight them later faster. And from Serbia, like I said, you're gonna take as much as you can. Everything for yourself. So let's see if I can full annex them, and I can, and that's what I will do. And I'm gonna take all their money. And that's your second war done. You should own this, or at least as much as you can. Now it's time to chill from fighting in the Balkans a little bit, because some guys over here will be angry, and it's time to go back to Iberia and start opening up another expansion route. Maybe in Italy, maybe in the Maghreb. By the way, you can totally delete the fort in Messina and the one in the Pyrenees. I'm also gonna delete this one right here. At this point, after you fought your war versus Serbia, you should start spying on Genoa and one of Morocco or Tunis, whoever is weaker in your case. In my case, they're both allied to the same nations. Morocco is allied to Granada and Tunis is allied to Granada and Morocco, so it really doesn't matter for me. I'm gonna start spying on Tunis. Since the Ottomans made Bohemia break their alliance with me, now I can ally Poland instead, which I did do. They are a stronger nation. And these are my alliances right here. So it's Castile, a nation you don't need to have, the Pope, Austria, and Poland. Pretty standard. At this point, if Navarra is your junior partner, like in my case, you can totally abandon that. We don't want this one province taking up a slot for 50 years. And you can just conquer them. Maybe Castile will conquer them. We don't really care. We'll get it later. Once you have these provinces here, you can totally spy on one of these two nations right here. I'm gonna spy on Bosnia. Now, when building a claim on Genoa, here's what you need to think about. When you fight them, you're either gonna take only Genoa in the first war or Albenga and Corsica as well. So build a claim on whatever you want to take from them over here. Either this one or these two. In my first war, I am gonna take the province of Genoa, so that's what I'm gonna build a claim on. For your first idea group as Aragon, I recommend opening up with quantity ideas. We will need to field a massive army because we're gonna be conquering in literally every single direction around the Mediterranean. We're already in Iberia, in Italy, and in the Balkans, and pretty soon we'll be opening up routes in northern Italy, the Maghreb, and even the Caucasus. So quantity ideas for your first idea group. Once you pay off your old loans with newer loans and you can get new burger loans, you'll probably be able to construct buildings, and the first buildings you should build are some marketplaces over here because we do want to do the mission Consulate of the Sea. So we are going to build marketplaces in Barcelona, Valencia, and then pretty much every other estuary or center of trade that you can. I'm also going to build one in Zaragoza here and in Tarragona as well. And Castile's ruler just died, and I got them as a junior partner in a regular personal union, not the Iberian wedding, which is actually pretty weird, but this does happen pretty often. I'm sure you guys have noticed when Aragon sometimes gets Castile, even though it's an AI game. But you already know about the Iberian wedding by now. It's gonna be an event where you have a female ruler and Castile has a male ruler, or when Castile has a female ruler and you have a male ruler. It doesn't matter if they're the Trastamara dynasty, they only need to be a male and a female. Yes, consorts do count. So you already know about the Iberian wedding event where you're gonna get Castile as a junior partner. Really weirdly here, like I said, I got them in a regular PU, so just a one based on luck. But it's pretty much the same, and this isn't an unusual time for it to happen. You usually get Castile as a junior partner by around the 1480s. Now, because I got them through a random event, Castile is disloyal, but when you get them through the Iberian wedding, they won't be disloyal. Once 1461 comes around and the Italian nations have left the HRE due to the Shadow Kingdom incident where they leave the HRE, except of course if they're allied to Austria, it is time for our third war, which is gonna be versus the nation of Genoa. Now this is a very important war because it will help us expand in northern Italy faster. We do get missions right here which do give us claims on northern Italy, but we are a little faster than our missions and we'll get them done later. And this war is also important because Genoa has land in the Pontic steppe area over here, and we'll also be taking land over here to open up another expansion route, maybe over here into the hordes. If you're going for the Mare Nostrum achievement, of course you will want to own all of this land right here, but even if you're not going for that achievement, it is another expansion opportunity that'll help us form the Roman Empire easier. So we'll also be taking stuff over here. So that's why it is time to declare on Genoa. They may have a strong ally or two, but by this point you're already strong enough. You have a bunch of subjects, a bunch of allies, and maybe you even have Castile like in my case. So it is time to declare on Genoa. Of course you will want your army here to invade this island, and then you can just hop over here and make sure your navy is in the Ligurian Sea. Now, I didn't check in my case, but I also should have co-belligerented Epirus down here. And I will be separate piecing Epirus here and giving both of these provinces to Byzantium. Of course, you would be doing this in a different, minor war when you have the time. It's not even worth going over in the guide. Just annex Epirus whenever you can. Now, when you beat up Genoa and it's time to take stuff from them, you may encounter this problem where stuff over here is too far away for you to be able to make it a core. And to get around this, we're simply gonna seize some land from Byzantium. So you're gonna do this, go on Byzantium, click here, seize land, and you're gonna take the province of, it doesn't matter, let's take Gallipoli here for example. Boom, we're gonna take it. They are gonna become disloyal, and of course once we core this up, we will be able to take these provinces. I should have done that before this war, but I simply forgot. It's no big deal, you should do it before the war, so you'll be able to take these. After that, you can give it back to Byzantium if you want to, or you don't have to. Of course, when you core everything up in Serbia, you should full state this state right here, activate the Encourage Development State Edict, and dev this province up to 10 production. And there we go, now that I finally cored up Gallipoli, and this war has taken me a little longer than it needed to because I forgot to do that, but of course you should do that before. Here's what you're gonna take from Genoa. Like I said, either Genoa or Albenga and Corsica, so one of those two choices over here in Italy. I'm just gonna take Genoa and all of their provinces that they have left, if they have them left, over here. So that's it for now. You can also take war reps and some money. And that's our war in Italy done. For now, provinces that you own in the Crimea trade node, I do recommend adding them to a trade company so they don't contribute to religious disunity because they'll be Orthodox and Sunni. While you're chilling, you can declare on Navarra to wrap them up if you release them. Once you finish off Navarra, you can take it for yourself or give it to Castile if you have them. I am gonna give it to Castile in my case. For your first stage ability, you should take Justified Wars. Once you have Navarra as a subject and Castile as a subject as well, you will be able to unlock the mission, the Crowns of Iberia. This will give us a restoration of Union CB on Portugal. And this could be anywhere from around this time to, like I said, by around the 1480s. That's by around the time that the Iberian wedding happens. And then we're simply gonna PU Portugal. The first thing you need to check though is if they have taken exploration ideas, since you may get the Iberian wedding super early, maybe in the 1450s, and you'll be like, oh great, let's PU Portugal too. But no, first you need to wait for them to get exploration ideas so they can colonize for you, because if you PU them and they haven't taken exploration ideas, then they won't ever take them. So just exploration. If they've taken that, they'll also take expansion, and once you're good to go with that, you can take the mission, the Crowns of Iberia. You also gain claims on Andalusia as well. Castile will probably already own this in your case. In my case, they don't, since they're allied to Morocco and Tunis. So once you take that mission, it's simply time to declare on Portugal with the restoration of Union CB. And luckily I did manage to white peace England because they're involved in two other wars, so we can easily peace out Portugal as well. Nice stab event, by the way. And yeah, we're simply gonna select the Union with Portugal option, take all their money, and boom, we're done. Just like that, we have all of Iberia. Well, almost all, since Castile hasn't taken Granada. But Once you do PU Portugal, you will be able to take this mission too, which you should. Now it's time to chill a bit, because after you've PU'd Portugal, AE will probably be pretty high, so it's time to shift our expansion elsewhere, probably back to the Balkans and Anatolia, because by this point, your truce with the Ottomans should be up. And by the way, there is a downside to getting the Iberian Union too early, because Castile may not have chosen exploration ideas just yet. So if you get around the 1450s, you may want to save scum it to make sure Castile does choose exploration. And it's time to continue our conquest with our second war versus the Ottomans, where we're going to be retaking Bulgaria's cores and the remaining Byzantine core. By this point, you're a lot stronger than the first time, you're declaring on your own terms, you have a ton of allies, and there we go, we're simply going to declare a reconquest. For Edirne, I do have the Holy War war goal, because Burgundy probably got the Feast of the Pheasants event, but it doesn't matter, we are going to be using a reconquest. And I am going to call in Poland along with Lithuania and Austria along with Hungary. Easy. They are allied to Tunis right now, but that's not a problem at all, and I'm also going to make Tunis end their alliance with Morocco, so we have an easier war with them later. For your second idea group as Aragon, I recommend taking diplomatic ideas. We will be playing with vassals the entirety of the campaign and with other subjects as well. Later we'll get colonies too. The diplomats and improved relations are great from preventing coalitions. The Diplorep will help us annex nations quicker. This will help us have more subjects. The province war score cost is great. It'll enable us to take more things in a war, and the Diplo discount is great, along with the lowered impact on stability from diplomatic actions, which will enable us to royal marry nations and then break royal marriages in the hopes of getting our dynasty on their throne. So, Diplo ideas for your second idea group. If you're not going for a Roman Empire run or aren't planning on blobbing too much, a different opener would be offensive trade instead of quantity Diplo. For your third government reform, you should take centralized bureaucracy. And once you defeat the Ottomans in your second war, here's what I recommend taking from them. I recommend that you give back Byzantium's core, Edirne, give everything back to Bulgaria, and then take whatever else you can in the Balkans, and maybe something if you can in Anatolia. So I'm just gonna take all of this right here. And with that, the Ottomans are completely kicked out of the Balkans. I'll also take some money from them, because why not? And that's your second war with them done. Now they basically don't exist anymore, and the nation you should be real scared of is the Mamluks if they have grown into the Ottomans. Now it's time to chill a bit and once again open up another route of expansion. By this point, we're present in Iberia, Italy, the Balkans, and in the Pontic Steppe. By the way, I'm not fighting Burgundy, just helping Austria. And no, this is not in fact the Burgundy-Liège War, it's the Burgundy-Gyelray War. New classic war incoming? And once you've chilled a bit from your Ottoman conquests, it is time to declare on a Maghrebi nation, whichever is the weakest. I have a truce with Tunis right now, so I will actually be declaring on Granada here and making Morocco end their truce with the Mamluks. I'll probably feed all of Granada to Castile. And once you buff up your navy, and I did it around this period, you can take this mission right here, which gives us permaclaims on these areas right here. And I'm gonna separate piece Morocco and take these three coastal provinces from them right here, and I'm gonna make them end their alliance with the Mamluks, which is pretty annoying that they have it, and that's done with Morocco. And I'm actually gonna transfer occupation of all of Granada to Castile, since they would most likely get it in your game, and Castile can deal with the bad events instead of me, and I'll just feed all of this to Castile. And I just helped out Austria in a war versus Venice, and they gave me these two provinces over here, which was pretty nice of them. I do also recommend trade companying everything you conquer in the Tunis and Safi trade nodes as well. So there we go, I'll just add these provinces over here to a trade company. And at this point you should have two trade companies, one in the Crimean trade node, or maybe even three if you have provinces in both Safi and Tunis. And by around the 1490s, your realm should look a little something like this. Basically, we started off as Aragon with the classic no CB Byzantium opening, and even though I wasn't that lucky in my scenario right here, and I had to vassalize Byzantium and call in my allies to defend them from the Ottomans using the old strategy, you've most likely used the new strategy where you waited for the Ottomans to declare on someone in Anatolia and then declared on your own terms. Basically, both strategies are valid, but I prefer declaring on my own terms. And of course, we've retaken all of Byzantium's scores back in both wars and all of Bulgaria's scores back, additionally with some land for ourselves, and then we also expanded in Serbia and took as much as we can from here with the focus on this province right here, the gold mine, which you should have devved up to 10. Over in Italy, we also expanded by fighting Genoa to gain a position in the Genoa trade node in the northern portion over here, and by fighting Genoa, we were also able to take some provinces over here in the Pontic Steppe, which will enable us to expand in this direction too. Like I said, in that war with Genoa, either take these two or this one in addition to the stuff over here, and we've also fought some nations in the Maghreb. It depends depends on your case whether it's Tunis or Morocco, but you should have established a position somewhere in these provinces right here. And of course, by this point, you for sure have gotten the Iberian wedding event where Castile became your junior partner. Like I said, I actually got them as a junior partner in a random event and not the Iberian wedding, but it's still the same principle. And of course, after that, you declared a restoration of union war on Portugal, and now Portugal as your junior partner. And by this point, you should have 3 junior partners: Portugal, Castile, and Naples, at least 2 vassals, Bulgaria and Byzantium, and a couple of trade companies as well in the Crimea, Tunis, and Safi trade node. And this is sort of what you should look like by now. If you're a less experienced player, you may have a little less than this. If you're a more experienced player, you may have a little more than this. But either way, we've all been doing the same thing for these first 40 or 50 years. No matter what you take, basically the goal of the early game here as Aragon is to establish a foothold in all the regions surrounding the Mediterranean so we can expand wherever we want to, whenever we want to. So we're present in Iberia, Italy, the Balkans, in the Pontic Steppe, and we're ready to pounce on France and Anatolia at a moment's notice because we border those regions, and we're already in the Maghreb. And pretty much the final regions you're going to be entering that surround the Mediterranean are Egypt and the Mashriq region, where the Mamluks will be present. By this point, you should have a decent army. I have one army right here 24/7. That's my composition at this point in the game. And because we've focused so much on conquest and we haven't been making that much money in the early game, it's totally fine if you haven't been building stuff up to this point. Like I said, finances will be a little rough in the first couple of decades because we focus so much on expansion, and realistically I haven't built almost any buildings over here, just a couple of marketplaces at the start of the game. But of course, once you rack up some money, you'll be building marketplaces everywhere, not just in yourself but in your subjects too, because after all, you'll be annexing them and getting those buildings. You'll be building a ton of workshops in all the high value trade good provinces, which we will own a lot of. And of course, the army stuff and the manufactories will come later down the line. By this point, you should have a really sizable navy paired with your subjects as well. I got 10 light ships here protecting trade in Genoa. You will be building more light ship fleets to protect trade in all the trade nodes that you own. And I have my main sort of battle and transport fleet right here. I got a heavy, couple of galleys, couple of transports, because we will need to move our armies around the entirety of the Mediterranean, so you do need a pretty sizable transport fleet as well. These are my alliances right now, still allied to the Pope, and Austria, which has Hungary as well, and Poland, which has Lithuania and Danzig as well. These are pretty classic alliances. You'll probably have Austria and the Pope too, maybe Hungary if they haven't become a junior partner of Austria, and you might have one of Bohemia or Poland, but that's about pretty much the allies you need. And like I said, don't sweat it if at the start you can't ally Castile. You'll get them as a junior partner anyway. You don't need to ally them. After this point, you'll continue to expand in the same directions that we've already been expanding in. You'll continue to finish off any straggler nations in the Balkans, leaving Austria-Hungary for later. We don't really focus on them too much. These aren't that important provinces that they own. We'll get that in the mid to late game. Of course, you'll continue to push into Anatolia, taking provinces over here. Byzantium does have claims on stuff over here, but you will want to take provinces in Anatolia for yourself. You will want to push into the Pontic Steppe later, fighting the hordes, leaving Poland and Lithuania alone for later if you're allied to them. If not, you can fight them as well after you take care of Anatolia and after you take care of the Maghreb as well, which you will push into by fighting Morocco and Tunis. And don't forget to take the gold mine in Tafilalt for yourself as well. I don't recommend feeding anything over here or over here to Castile. You can give these provinces to Portugal if you want to, however. And of course, once you take over the Maghreb and Anatolia, you can squeeze the Mamluks from both sides, pushing into the Mashriq from the north and pushing into Egypt from the west. Of course, you'll continue to expand in Italy as well, albeit very slowly. You'll annex Naples too, and you'll get a hold of the entirety of the southern portion of Italy, and with slow expansion in northern Italy, taking 1 to 3 provinces at a time, because as you all know, aggressive expansion is super high in this region, and your expansion here will go very slowly. Leave the Pope alone for later, basically for last. Once you feel strong enough, you can declare on France at any point in the game that you want to. Let's see, right now Austria would help me out. I think me and my subjects and Austria and their subjects are enough to take down France and their allies too. There's a bunch of nations you can pop out from France to reconquer their cores, such as Gascony over here in the southwest, Toulouse in the southeast, and you guys all know the other subjects that they have that you can release some of them to reconquer some of their cores. Of course, later, when you do become Spain, since you're allied to Austria, and if you're both rival to France, like we are here in my case, and if Austria gets the Burgundian inheritance, you can get the event where you gain a Habsburg on your throne, and Austria gives you the lowlands. Of course, that is a very good event. You should take it. You should get the Habsburg dynasty and the lowlands for free. Although in my case here, it doesn't look like it's gonna happen because Burgundy doesn't even own this stuff up here, and they've been gobbled up by France already. But it might be an option in your game. And like I said, you'll continue to push in each of our respective directions, diversifying your conquests with different regions, different cultures, and different religions, so as not to get a coalition with one single region or religion. So you'll basically fight here, fight there, fight there, fight there, diversify your conquests. For our first two idea groups, we took quantity and diplomatic. Now, of course, this assumes you're gonna be blobbing out a lot, but if that's not your goal, like I said, you could have totally opened up with offensive and then trade. But either way, now we're gonna be taking those two if we opened up with quantity and diplo. So for your third idea group, I do recommend taking offensive ideas, and for your fourth idea group, I do recommend taking trade ideas. This will help us out with sieges massively, and as we all know, it's the siege meta in 1.33, and you'll get awesome generals as well. And because we control portions of so many different trade nodes, trade ideas will help us out a lot to make even more money with even more merchants and route trade to our home node, which will eventually become Genoa. Right now it's Valencia, but once you gain around a 30 to 40% control over Genoa, I do recommend moving your main trade node here. So that's pretty much the opening ideas: quantity, diplo, offensive, trade. After that, the rest of them are totally up to you depending on what your goals are. Of course, once you reach admin tech 10, you will be forming the nation of Spain diplomatically. You do need to be careful that Castile doesn't own more than 47 provinces though, so that's why I said don't feed them stuff over here. And they will be increasing their province count because they will be colonizing stuff in Africa, and as we all know, those are direct provinces and not colonies, so their province number will go up either way. But of course, you can also let them colonize and leave them until the end of the game, where you can annex them manually if that's your thing. Of course, if they get bigger than 47 provinces, you will have to annex them manually and then form Spain that way. So it's totally up to you if you form Spain immediately or if you let them colonize and then annex them whenever you want. Let Portugal colonize as long as they can. There's no need to annex them. But once you do wrap up diplo ideas, you should start annexing Naples, Byzantium, and Bulgaria. For your tier 4 government reform, you should take meritocratic recruitment. For tier 5, you should take general estates, then royal decree when absolutism comes around. But if you max out over 100 absolutism, you should swap back to general estates. For tier 6, you should take l'état c'est moi, and for tier 7, you should take political absolutism. But once again, if you max out over 100 absolutism, you can take legislative houses to get +4 admin policies instead of just 3. And like I said, by around the 1490s, your realm should look a little something like this. If you're not that confident in your abilities, or if you're not sure if your game is gonna go like mine, this save file is available to all YouTube members in the Save Games Discord channel, and you can continue playing as Aragon from this date forward. Let me know in the comments below what's the next nation that I should do a guide on. If you want to watch me do stuff like this live, you can follow me on twitch.tv/theredhawklive, and if you want to catch up on stuff from over there, you can subscribe to the second channel, link is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like, it really helps out a lot, and if you want to see more guys like this, or more EU4 videos in general, definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. And you can become a member today and join the Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU4 video.